Okay, what is up, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of the Rally Podcast. I'm Mike White, here with our big crew. We got Anthony Wrench in the left side of your screen. He is out in Worcester, Mass, and he will be playing in East Regionals this weekend. On your right side of your screen, going out of order, we have Shaun Boyer, half of the two-time national champs, Chico Spikes. But now he's retired and has a lot of hot takes about the scene. And then in the middle, joining us from a log cabin, is the Southern Logan Cornelius. He currently is a player on the team to Telestai with Jesse Throw, just played in Midwest Regionals. And from that log cabin, he doesn't have much service, so he just spends it all watching roundnet film and giving his ideas about it.
That's it.
So 3 regionals have happened. We have one more this weekend coming up in the East, so we're going to talk about one topic from each of them, also cover a little bit about the women's scenes, and then, see what happens. So we're going to hop right in, and the first one that happened, second one that happened because of the time delay, but the first one that happened was West Regionals. And the question surrounding this, because Button Bulls came in from outside the scene, or not outside the scene, it was their first tournament of the year, and they beat the number 2 Stranger Brace and the number 3 Two Guys. So what we're asking is, where do you rank Button Bulls currently? Who wants to take it first?
I'll take it. It's a fun one. It's really hard to say. I think we got to start by commending them for getting the result in one of the first tournaments they've played in a while. I think they probably had a lot of skeptics out there playing together for the first time, but they pulled through. They got first. So it's really hard to not put them pretty high on my list. But going into nationals, it's going to be anyone's game. And even thinking about that, any given day, how many times do I think they could beat Strange out of 10? I think it'd be pretty damn even. So it's going to be whoever can play the best Spikeball day of come nationals. But in my mind, they're definitely a top team. If I'd be as bold to say top 3 team in the nation currently.
Tony, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, as Shaun was talking, I put him squarely at 3. Definitely behind Chiswick Showalter as of now, and also in the grand scheme of things this season, also still behind Strange, even though they did beat him at West Regionals. I definitely think that they're better than the other teams that are right behind Impact, Two Guys. They're definitely better in my mind, but they're not top 2 right now. And again, this doesn't say anything about like where they're going to finish at nationals. This is just like the ranking of who the best team in the country. And I'm not gonna lie, I had a lot of doubt in them going into West Regionals. I thought they would be a little bit rusty and not quite equipped to handle maybe serves, especially from Two Guys, or a team like Point Loma, which can get really in your head. But they were, and they showed that they're as good as both of them have been individually the last few years, and together just even better.
Yeah, I would put them at 2. I don't think you can put them above Chiswick Showalter, obviously. Not to say that they won't end that way. But, I mean, they beat Strange. Skylar's beat Strange many a time. Although Strange did give Chico the biggest fits, as Shaun can remember. And then even last year at Nationals, Handsome, I believe, took Strange to 3 games. And Buddy's upgrading his partner. And they just show that they can beat Strange. And the West can be argued is the strongest division, depth-wise and top-wise, minus Chiswick Showalter. I would put them at 2. And I think they earned that at West. Granted, would have liked to see them play some more leading up to it. But for me, I put them at 2.
Okay, contrasting Logan there, I am a little more cautious and feel like I should put them at 5. Just because
5.
Just because, like, it was just one tournament, and like they beat Strange, like so has Impact, like and a lot other teams have beat those teams, and like we've been going through like a whole season of results, and I just want to see how they do, like Strange and Impact have played like 3 times this year. Two Guys at Strange have played like 3 times this year, and I want to see them just play more. They easily could be the second best team, but as far as like a season's worth of results. Like, they just had one day.
Wait, so who's above them? Name the other four.
Chiswick, Showalter, Strange, two guys in Impact, who have all had very solid seasons. I've been saying the whole time that we have the big four, and the fifth team has been jumbled around. You know, it was Point Loma for a little bit. It was Bolivia. It was Anchored. It was Golden. And I think Button Bowls are clearly that number 5 and earn that spot there and maybe could break in. But with one tournament, especially with like those wins in 3 games, you know, you're not sure. It easily could have went the other way, and we'd be saying, oh, where were they if they lost those 2? But they didn't. So.
See, I may be biased, but I would argue that Skylar and Buddy are the team with the most raw skill in regards to Spikeball. They've been playing the longest. They've been deep in so many tournaments they can't even keep count. I don't know. I think putting them at 5 is undercutting their true value, even though they may have
far
one result.
down.
Disrespectful, one might say.
I mean, just play some more tournaments. It was just their first one. They had a good day.
It's fair. It's
like,
fair.
Anchored beat Impact and Chiswick Showalter, and they were 5. Like,
are you
know, not saying
so
like, Buddy and Skylar could totally be that number 2, but it was one event and one result.
Okay, that's
and are you putting them at 5 because you think they're the 5th best team, or are you putting them at 5 because they haven't played enough tournaments, leading Nationals a good place? Or does that 5 mean you think Nationals happened tomorrow, they would tie for 5th, or they'd get 5th place?
It's more of like, I guess I personally wouldn't think that, but it's just like based on the results, like these other teams have much more solid and maybe consistent seasons, and their one tournament has been a very high peak, but we don't know where they would be over the course of the season. So it's hard for me to just like put them that high. And going to Nationals, I don't really know what I would think because, you know, I like to look at the season long, but also, you know, it's just one tournament and it's right now. We just don't know. You never know on a different day. Like, of course, Strange, like Jared was not playing well that day also, which is something else to note. Had probably one of his worst serving games. It was terrible. But, like, they were really good. I need to see them against teams like Impact and Chiswick Showalter, see how they would do there. You know, it was just 2 teams that also Buddy and Skylar have played a ton. You know, they've played Strange and 2 guys more times than, like, any other teams. So that could be something that helped them build their chemistry day of, because it's already players that they know.
We'll agree to disagree.
Yeah. I won't be happy about that one.
Yeah, you're gonna get a terse message in your inbox later.
It's okay. I'll take it. Okay, so we're gonna move on. That was our West. That was our West talk. Now we're going to move to the Southeast, which is kind of similar, where there's some uncertainty going forward because the favorite we saw going in was Golden Set, Harding Brumby, Eric Jiska. Of course, Harding could not make it. He had to go to hurricane relief because he is in the Air Force Reserves, right? So Eric played with Grayson Ayers. They ended up getting second. The second favorite was Bolivia, who's had a great season, who I mentioned was number 5 at one point. And so they ended up getting third. And Easley Doug took first. Easley Doug took second at College Nationals, placed round of 16 in Chicago. So this is their third Spikeball Roundie Association official tournament, and they ended up getting first. So we're kind of wondering like what that means for Golden Set, because Golden Set couldn't play the regionals. Eric actually now lives in Argentina, so him and Harding won't be playing at all until Nationals. Bolivia has had an up and down season, and then Easley Doug is very new, so we're not really sure like where these teams stand going to Nationals.
So I think like when we talk about Southeast regionals too, that like I think this is where matchups come in so big, because I still think to this day that if Golden Set had been there instead of Eric and Grayson, that Bolivia would have beat them and finished second. They probably would have beat Easley Doug because Easley Doug was playing on a different planet that day, but I think there would have beat Golden Set because there's a different dynamic between Eric and Harding that Bolivia can get into, whereas when it's Eric and Grayson, that dynamic isn't there. There's not that like crazy intensity that can just like snap if a team is like handling them. So I still think that Bolivia would have beat Golden Set, and still will at Nationals if their paths cross. I just need to say that first. But that being said, the real story was watching Travis and Andrew play. That was something else. So like we saw them like at college nationals. Travis had his kind of intro there, especially in their semifinal game against the Chiswick brothers, Tyler and Cam. Just like serving, hitting angles that usually people only think like Peter John Showalter hits, and then also just doing some ridiculously athletic things on defense. Like he's just so long and quick and jumps so high that he gets to so many balls that you just don't expect him to. And he looked exactly like that at Southeast, at least from watching the periscopes. The amount that he like could just absolutely change gameplay was like ridiculous. Like he made other teams play how he wanted to play at times, which was wild to watch.
Yeah, I followed the Periscope some as well, and the two biggest takeaways I saw from the finals game between Easily Doug and Grayson and Eric was just one, Travis's serving was crazy, and he just hit some shots that were unbelievable. And then two, just like you said, two players playing that haven't got much experience together. A lot of disconnect between Grayson and Eric. Although they're both good players, I mean, in a championship game, that comes into play is how well you know your team and how well you can play together.
For sure. And throughout the day, they had some like miscommunication, like some bad sets, like some defensive miscommunication things that you just can't make those kind of mistakes in a regional final.
Yeah. Yep. I will say though that Texas got their two players in the Southeast Final Four 3 years running.
Texas strong.
What I was going to say is I didn't follow too much of the Southeast Regionals. I didn't catch it, but I'm rooting for a Southeast team to make a deep run at Nationals just to help get their region on the map because they've kind of been the neglected region as far as results are concerned. So it's going to prove interesting when we all come together.
Yeah. And I think easily Doug is that team to do it too. If they can just get that energy level, and I think there's something about playing on grass for them or playing on turf, and so that's the surface for nationals. So I think that's definitely to their advantage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so going into the event, I wasn't too high on Easily Doug just because the college nationals happened in April, which is a long time away, and then in Chicago when they traveled, they did not have a good power pool play, and then lost to Chile Showalter. Of course, that's unfortunate, but they got the 16 seed. So it happens. And so it was kind of like me with Button Bowls. I was like, well, they think they're really good and they think they're going to do well, but I haven't really seen that. And, it makes me wonder that, maybe Chicago was Travis's first time playing on sand. So that has to be something. I don't know if that pool play was just a little different for what happened. So after this good result, again, going into nationals, it's just my question of we want to see more consistency. We have a lot of teams that go to a lot of events, and this is teams they've only been to 3 this year. So still going to nationals, I'm still always remain skeptical until I see a lot more performances. So I'm excited to see how they do, especially with some newer teams because I know they play with David a lot. So we'll see how they do with those out of region teams. But
they're going to be having a lot of experience too. It's like you said, playing at UT Chattanooga, which is one of the strongest colleges, leading up to nationals. So they're going to be getting a lot of strong play in as nationals comes.
Yeah, and they actually have a college tournament next weekend, right, Logan?
That's right.
Yeah,
they do.
Take that home.
Yep.
All right, wait, Shaun, you said you want to see a Southeast team go deep. How deep does a Southeast team end up going this year?
And define a Southeast team.
I'm trying to think of years past. What's the deepest the Southeast team has made it at nationals?
Got to be Rip.
Yeah.
Well, and Chubby made
4th place.
And Chubby made
probably
8th.
Rip got 4th.
At 2015 nationals. Yeah.
Well, I'll start by saying it's for sure going to be an all-West final. But a Southeast team making
an all-West final? That's a bigger thing. That's a bigger thing.
History repeats itself. But Southeast making to 3rd or 4th, I'd be pretty impressed, just based with the field.
Who would do it?
Would it be Bolivia, Easily Doug, or Golden Set, Shaun?
One of those 3. Are you making me pick?
No.
Yeah.
Those are probably
I'm making him pick.
Options.
That's who I got my eyes on.
Those 3. Okay. All right, we'll see if it happens. You know, well, Rip had one of the best runs ever at 2015 Nationals. Ran through 4 West teams, so maybe that'll happen.
That
I
would
hope
be
so. That's the dream.
That was pretty crazy.
that was awesome to watch.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on from Southeast, we're going to go to Midwest. At Midwest Regionals, Chiswick Showalter took first place. Oregon Impact took second. And now Chiswick Showalter has only lost one event this year. So the question is, who, if anyone, can beat Chiswick Showalter?
This is where we disagree a lot, Mike.
We disagree a little bit.
I'm not listening to anything you say right now.
So I'll say what I've been thinking about it a little more. But initially, after Midwest Regionals, we watched Patrick Drucker, and his serve was already really good, but he got even better. He was hitting a much farther angles. And in some games, it's dominant. Like against Ohio, against the World, he had 7 or 8 aces, and they won 21-14. And it's just Vinny and Jesse Showalter could not do anything. They just can't play D on that. And then Impact, when they took a game from Chiswick Showalter in the first set of Grand Finals, you know, Drucker had a ton of aces, and then Impact did fine serve returning, so they took that game. And then, you know, in the other games, Chiswick Showalter got a lot of aces, so that was theirs. So what I was thinking is that Peter John Showalter and Tyler Chiswick are so good at the game that, like, you have to get these serves that just don't, like, they can't do anything about them. You know, you hit that angle, and it's just like, it doesn't matter how good they are at hitting the ball or setting the ball. You can't do anything. And that's why I think Impact has a great chance, because if Drucker hits 7 of those serves, that's just 7 breaks that they had nothing to do with. And it's a little different than just having a good serve that is more challenging, because you know, they're so good at setting and hitting. So I was thinking that you really just got to take that skill aspect away from them and just hit them with these aces to get that win, like Chiswick Showalter often does. And Tony disagrees.
But that's their games. Like, if you get into a serving duel with them, that's their thing. Like, that's what they want to do against teams. They want to just, like, sit there and serve. Like, PJ hitting his whatever angle he chooses, Tyler hitting those crazy far forehands. Like, that's their game. I think to beat them, and we talked about this, you have to do something different. You have to throw something different at them, whether that's improve your serve returns to take serves out of the game and make it a defensive game again, or just do something completely new to, like, throw them off, and which is what we saw in Boston a little bit with Anchored. To be fair, Chiswick Showalter had a bit of an off day there, and Ryan Fitzgerald had a crazy on day, but their game that day wasn't all about serves and aces and just out-acing Chiswick Showalter. It was about beating them in different ways, like forcing them into mistakes on offense, and having some great defensive plays. So I think it's not Bud and Bulls as the number 2 yet. I think it's going to be a team like Bud and Bulls that's going to be able to beat them at Nationals, because it's going to be a different look, and it's not going to be the same type of Spikeball that Tyler and PJ want to play.
One note on that, too, which I think really plays in Bud and Bulls' favor, is there's going to be a major element of fear. Just because, to your point, Mike, yeah, they've only played in one tournament. Chiswick Showalter's never seen them, and they know Skylar's one of the best players in the world, or at least used to be. They know Buddies can hang with anyone, and they've never seen them together. So they're going to go into a game not as confident as they would with teams like Impact that they've beat numerous times. So if you go down a few points against a team that you're not too sure about, it's easily to get like, oh man, we're going to lose this. We can't keep up with this. They're that good. When in reality, they might be able to. So I think Bud and Bulls have that advantage going into it. But in my mind, there's 5 or so teams that it's a toss-up the day of. Some may have a little better chance of winning, but when it comes to Nationals, it's whoever shows up and plays the best that day. And I think it's Chiswick Showalter, Impact, Bud and Bulls, Strange, and Anchored. Not in that order, but those are the teams that I got my eyes on.
Also note that
I think that fear factor is big. Yeah, I just needed to say the word fear factor because when Shaun was saying it, I had it. It was the only thing running through my mind. But I think that's so true, which is that like beating Buddy and Skylar is a completely different like achievement in the minds of Tyler and PJ. So it hangs over them differently than beating teams that they've already beaten this year, or that they would expect to beat. So I think you're spot on with that.
Well, I want to say that actually 2 years ago at Nationals, Skylar eliminated PJ, and then last year at Nationals, Buddy eliminated PJ. So a little bit on that. But it also could be the opposite way, and they could be like, this is the team we have to beat. We've beaten everyone. We have to beat this team right here. Which could be like, could reverse that if they feel that pressure. So it depends on how they handle it. And I did want to go back, Tony, because I was thinking a lot in the car before here about how, like, I guess the matchup with Chiswick Showalter depends on how they're playing too. Because I do think in Boston, like, the defense, I see both ways. I think Impact can beat them because they can serve it right past them, and it can work. When Drucker gets 7 aces, they're not going to do much unless PJ gets 8, you know. And but when I watched Ryan Weiler and Joey Heff play against them, they weren't really acing them, but they were definitely challenging them on their serve. And then Weiler played really, really good D and was getting it. So it's like, I guess it works both ways. Like, you have to play perfectly with strong serves and defense to beat them, or you can get those aces. And I am leaning a little bit more, but I think it depends on how Chiswick Showalter is hitting their serves, because like you could challenge them and get those defensive breaks, but again, like it was 18-18 and PJ hit 3 serves in a row and beat Impact. And so it's like same thing as Drucker. If PJ and Tyler hit 10 aces, like you're not going to win. So I think it depends more on them, like to give you the opportunity, and then you have to just take that chance. You know, you have to break in.
I think too, one of the big things that will be required to beat them is touch. And I think that's where Bud and Bulls comes into play. They're going to be one of the best teams that has touch out of everyone in Nationals. Because, I mean, just like you said, it was tied 18-18 Impact and Chiswick Showalter. There's an element of just taking control of the game, and you can just do it. Like, you can will your way to it when they won it. So when PJ said, okay, it's 18-18, we have to win, I don't think it's coincidence that he then rips off 3 aces. And I think Impact is a team that will be aced easier. Maybe they will cause aces easier, but they'll also be aced easier than Bud and Bulls will. Because they have touch and they can get those balls, and they're going to get aced, but I think they're going to get aced a lot less, and that's going to give them a chance to win. I mean, if anyone can beat them, I think it's going to be Bud and Bulls, because they have one of the best touch in the country.
I think it's the matchup that needs to happen.
Yeah. What if they'll both get upset? They're both going to get upset in the round of 32 by Southeast teams, though.
We'll have them.
Tell us, like, keep an eye out for them.
I like that.
What region are you, Logan?
I'm Southeast till I die.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Sorry for you, man.
Moving on to a very similar topic. At Midwest Regionals, Ogres Heroes won the women's division. They actually have not lost a tournament in over a year now. But thrice they have dropped a tournament set, but with women's always being double elimination, they came back and won. And I know Logan was watching the grand finals there. He was actually coaching their opponent, Moxie. So it's the same question, like, can someone beat Ogres Heroes? And it will be at Nationals. That's where they will be playing. We thought they were going to be playing Veinte Hamburguesas this weekend, but now Veinte is not attending. So really, we just got to wait till Nationals. So, can anyone beat Ogres?
Nah.
Definitely.
Nah.
Definitely.
We got nah and we got definitely. What is it?
So, they've been beaten in series before. Ogres is a very good team. When I watch them play, they are great hitters. Great defense, and they hit the ball really well. That's what I was impressed with. But they're not unstoppable. They've been beaten in more series than Chiswick Showalter has, so I wouldn't put them on the same level as unbeatenness as Chiswick Showalter. I think in Nationals, there's more competition this year than there was last year between Moxie and Veinte Hamburguesas. Like, those are the top 3 women's teams, and you could even argue that I believe Samantha Castillo, is that correct? Yeah, that won West Coast Regionals. Yeah, there's 4 teams that have a shot. It's hard to beat a good team twice, but if they drop a game in the winner's bracket, I assume it'll be double elimination. Then it's going to be hard for them to come back and face those teams, and they could drop another one. I think if they make it to the grand finals from the winner's bracket, they're probably going to take it. But if they have to fight their way up there, there's a lot higher chance that they won't win.
Yeah. Take it, Shaun. Take it.
Oh, we're probably going to be saying the same thing. It sounds like we're both Ogres fans. I am. I think they are on the next level as far as women's teams are concerned. They've proved that in their results. And also know they're just chomping on the bit for some better competition. So they'll take whatever gets thrown at them. I'm excited to see it. But, yeah, their performance reminds me a little bit of like the back in the Chico era. So maybe I just like them because of that. But I hope they just no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I don't think anyone can take them down this year. In years to come, sure, though they might fall off a little bit and competition will get stiffer. But in my mind, they're going to take it this year.
Yeah, I mean, if Double Limb does anything, it squashes chances of an upset. And the team to upset is Ogres Heroes. Like, if I'm gonna like take a step back from this position for a second, I'm gonna say that Mike, what's Sam's team name?
They were Whippersnappers. Sam and Jordan.
Whippersnappers. If I want to watch someone play them, I want to see Whippersnappers because they're new and because they appear to serve really, really well. That's the team that I want to watch play them, but I still don't think they're going to beat Ogres twice. And I'm inviting myself to be proven wrong, but like, unless I see someone do it, I'm not going to ever predict it.
No team necessarily has to beat them twice, though. Only two teams have to beat them once.
Yeah.
Marksfield took one and Vento took the other.
Team effort.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Maybe.
We'll see. I know. It'll be exciting. So if they do win nationals, it will be a back-to-back championship. And then we'll have to go into 2018 saying, are they going to three-peat? And Shaun knows what happens there.
We've said that before.
We don't need to talk about that.
I feel like every time I'm on the podcast, somehow it comes back to railing on Shaun.
It always comes back.
Well, we'll never live that down. It's okay.
It's the way to being a winner.
I'm just living vicariously through Skylar. I'm hoping he takes it this year.
Okay. Hit all the past regionals. Now we're going to go forward to the regionals this weekend, which is East Regionals. There are a lot of teams going, probably a lot that could take it, but in the prediction poll, the clear favorite to win is Anchored Long Island, currently ranked number 6th, won the last time they were in Boston at the Grand Slam. But
That's a good point. Same field, too.
What? Same
They're
field?
playing on the same field, too.
Same field. So lucky field. There are 4 or 5 other teams that all are in contention for 2nd, 3rd, 4th. Like, it's such a mix. So I think we want to go over, like, is Anchored going to take it? Tony's a little biased. Tony's playing in the tournament.
Yeah, I won't say too much.
Is Anchored going to win? Are there other teams that can take it? And, like, how do we feel about those other teams? Because the other teams there are Hilltop, Nashburg, the retired Dylan Fogarty and Matt Bonin. We have Tony himself with Dan McPartland. And, Do a Barrel Roll, Shizik. So we have a ton of these teams. So let's talk first. Is Anchored the clear favorite as much as the prediction poll indicates?
I think that, like most prediction polls, they are based on a lot of hype of the month or two past. I think Anchored gathered quite a bit of hype and recognition with their win, which is well-earned and deserved. But we've seen many teams that perform really well one day and just can't keep up that pace. So I don't know if it's totally fair that they got such a heavy favorite, but they're riding the wave right now.
Yeah, I know 2 things. One is that it's all a toss-up on game day. It depends whoever shows up to play. I don't think there's one team that'll be playing in the East Regionals that has been consistent enough across the entire season to be like, okay, they're the heavy favorite. I think whoever plays well that day, or even in that matchup, is who's going to win. And 2, it's that a Spicy Ruby has about a 4% chance of winning.
4.
4%.
4. All right.
So
Pretty fair.
Had to downgrade that 1% from
Your chance?
from the Grand Slam.
4%. Well, the other thing is Anchored has they're 1-2 against Hilltop. They beat Nashburg this year. So they are looking pretty good against the East teams. And really also the big unknown will be how Dylan Fogarty will be playing. because he has only played 1 or 2 events this year. He played in the intermediate division at Summer Spike. So what Skylar said, is it like riding a bike? That's what he said. It's like riding a bike. You just get back in and you play. But I'm mostly concerned about how he'll handle serve returns, because I think serving is the thing that just keeps improving, and just your touch on serve returns is just crucial. But
I will give a tip of the hat to Dylan. I'd say he made it the longest as the pseudo-retired player. So good for him. But I think it'd be really cool to have him back in the mix, and he always brings a fun element to watch. So I agree with you, serving. I think he's going to be getting a little rust off in the first few pool play games, because as good as you are, as long as you've played, if you take this long of a break, getting back into that tournament feel, it's going to take some time to catch up to the other players.
Who's to say Dylan hasn't been practicing his serve returns in his basement, just like waiting for this monumental moment to come back to surprise and shock the world?
He's been training like Rocky for a year.
Yep.
I'm just interested to see if he still has a shoulder, because like at the end of last season, like one of the big reasons he stopped is because he was like throwing his shoulder out when he served. So I'm interested to see what kind of like Dylan server we see.
hey,
If it's the same Dylan that hits hard, low flingos like every serve, or if he's changing it up.
oh, there's a big bug right next to me here. I'm dying inside. The other thing is at West Regionals, Victor, who used to be known for his flango, hit like 2 all day. So like I don't know what version we're gonna see. I don't know his mentality going in. Probably a very competitive one, but it might be hard to jump in after a year. 2, but he hasn't lost a tournament this year. To be fair, Dylan is 2 for 2 on tournament wins. He won a
Wow.
very small Connecticut tournament.
Wow.
He won Summer Spike Intermediates. So,
Wow.
That's good.
the other thing also, as a big observer here, I am curious with how he serves with the new enforcement of the tossing it in rule.
Are you saying that he didn't
I'm saying
follow
he
the
might have
rules in
tossed
years
it
past?
I think most people tossed it in. I'm just curious
That's
to
fair.
see like how he handles it, because it is an adjustment. We saw at Camp Brit Show when we first brought it up, some people were not liking the enforcement. So like if it happens to be enforced by some people, I want to see how he handles it. So that's my big thought. I just have no idea what's happening.
I think you make a good point about mentality going into, because there's these players that have been in it for a long time, and now they're playing like a mashup or something, like Buddy, Dylan, and I think they go into like, let's have fun, let's do well, let's just get out there and do it. But deep down inside, they're like, I want to win this thing, and so they're battling those 2 different egos, and it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting when things really hit the fan and you're in that pressure match 2020. Who shows up?
Yeah.
So East has the most teams in Premier. There are 14. The good thing for me is that double elimination, as long as it's less than 16, it takes the same amount of time as if there were 8 teams or 9 teams. So I'm very happy from a tournament director standpoint that it won't take way too long. But I'm excited. We'll see a lot of matchups. We have some teams that haven't played in Premier before or haven't been in the power pool, like Ghost Long Island. So see how they do, and I'm excited. I think like the pool play will be very important, because like those early matchups really decide like who plays. Like we saw in the Midwest, like Impact had a bad pool play, so Ohio against the World, had a much earlier who got the 3 seed. Like they went down into winners in the first round, which is just not ideal. So we really have to see how pool play comes out to really decide how the day will go.
Yeah.
As always. Okay, and with that, we hit...
It's just like, to me, it's also...
Tony, I'm losing you.
Oh, let me get one more bit.
Yeah.
I think it's also, I mean, this is not an East player, but it's a predictable top 4 at any regional.
All right, wait.
Like,
Tony,
not
stop.
ordering.
Stop. Say that all again. It cut out.
Can you hear me now? Am I good?
You're good now.
Okay. I think, like, the interesting thing about the East is that, to me, it's like the least predictable top 4. Like, not just the order, but the teams that'll actually be in it. I felt like when I was thinking about the Midwest and the Southeast and the West, I was just like, okay, these are the teams
Tony,
that
you're struggling.
should be there.
You're struggling.
The East. I have no idea. No idea. Who's going to be playing for third and fourth. Like,
Yeah, you're
right now,
tripping
it's
out
a
right now.
complete.
Yeah. All right, Tony's out.
Oh.
There he goes. That's his bit.
That's what we get. Tony has one more thing. He has to confuse us all. He doesn't want to have an opinion.
That was clever of him.
Okay. All right. Let's get him in here one more time so we can say our goodbyes. Logan,
Yes.
what are your top 4 for East?
My top 4 for East. Ooh. I'm gonna go away from what people are thinking, and I'm gonna say Nashburg, Hilltop, and then Anchored, and then Spicy Ruby.
Woo!
Just because I like that. I'll take that, and I'll Venmo you that $5 you asked.
Just kidding. All right. Tony is not
Wait,
biased.
I'm not kidding.
All right, Tony, say your bit now. We got you. One more bit.
All right, yeah, I know. I don't know what's happening there. I think the interesting thing about East, I'll keep it short this time, is that it's not just like ordering the top 4 teams, which I felt was the case at the other 3 regionals. It's literally have no idea who those top 4 teams are. So like going into it as a player, it's super cool because it's like I don't have any real expectations about who is going to win. Or who are like the teams to beat. It's like you got to go out and beat anyone and everybody because everyone's fighting for those spots, which is an awesome like tournament dynamic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a lot different than what we've seen in the other events where we had some, we're like, all right, well, it's probably Button Bull, Stranger Brace, 2 guys in Point Loma in the top 4. Southeast, it's probably Easily Dug, Bolivia, and Eric and Grayson in the top 4. And then Midwest, it's like, all right, it's probably Impact and Chile Showalter. And here, there's just a big mix. Like, there are some favorites, but, like, anyone could really take out anyone. So, it's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Any other final thoughts on all these regionals?
Go Nashburg. Got to give them some love.
Nashburg won 2
Right.
years ago.
Yeah.
And then they got 4th. So, based on that, they're getting 16th, right?
Yeah.
Give or
That's
take.
math. That's math.
Can't argue that.
Okay. Well, so with that, I think we're going to sign off here. Thank you for joining us for our regionals discussion. Hope that you follow along with East Regionals on this Saturday. Check us out. We'll have updates on the USA Spikeball Twitter and Instagram page, as well as some periscopes on the Spikeball account. So hop on that, follow along, and, we'll see what happens.
Right on. If you're listening and you haven't signed up for Nationals, get on that. It's coming up.
Unfortunately, after this point, the audio cut out and got corrupted. To fill you in on what was said afterwards, Shaun just simply urged everyone to sign up for Nationals if you know that you are going. It is extremely helpful to know how many teams will be there so that enough sets, water, food, etc. can be brought to the field. And from me, I also want to note that there was some little audio issue on this episode. My volume was a little lower than all the others. I had to do a little, mingling of the sounds to get it to sound even decent. And just know the next time it will be fixed. It will not be like that. Appreciate you listening, and we will catch you next time. Thanks.